Like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GTV Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have your self to blame, y'all. Cricket TV and a weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop. Until you get your mouth off LDBC. We are the underground outfit, y'all. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, man. So y'all press one if y'all can hear me in the comments, man. Got a mic check 1 2 1 2, and it has just got real, y'all. It has got real. Press one if y'all can hear me. Now we're gonna talk about some very important things that we touched on a little bit last night, but it is more information coming out today, and this is absolutely explosive. No pun intended for the 4th of July. Y'all press one. As y'all come in the building, I'm finna let y'all know exactly what's going on. So the man on the right-hand side of your screen, Clayton Howard, revealed as one of the sex workers, one of the escorts in this case, who was supposed to have testimony be brought into court, but it wasn't on either side. He has came out, and I told you guys the other day he went absolutely berserk on Cassie, and he has been standing 10 toes on Cassie, but something that people are forgetting. He went crazy on Sean Diddy Combs too. He didn't just sue Cassie. He sued Diddy. Now he's going in on Cassie because he's saying that Cassie wasn't innocent. And the thing that everybody has overlooked is that nobody said Cassie was innocent. We just said that what Diddy did to Cassie was downright dirty, dishonorable, and disgusting. To beat any type of woman the way that man beat her, drug her around, and absolutely treated her. That was disgusting. And anybody that supports that, they're a disgusting, low down, dirty, dog, piece of shit, stain of the world. If you have no problem with that, you're the worst type of person on planet Earth. Clayton came out and has been absolutely going crazy on Cassie Ventura because he says it wasn't just Diddy. It was Cassie who helped, and he said that it was a domestic violence situation, and he said that Cassie was leading the call and all of these things, but you have to ask him a couple of questions. And the first couple of questions you have to ask Mr. Clayton is, first of all, you were just a sex worker. You only saw a piece of the life of Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. How do you know what Diddy and Cassie had going on outside of when you weren't there? How do you know what the situation was? But I'm going to tell y'all something. Hey, Diamond, be quiet. I'm going to tell y'all something. And I'm going to kick it to everybody watching this video tonight. Everybody's saying and talking about, oh man, his statements could get this, overturned, and they could be put in. Not going to happen. And I'm going to tell y'all why it's not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution did not call this man to the stand to testify because they knew he was going to testify against Cassie as well. The defense did not call this man to testify against Sean Diddy Combs or against Cassie. So the prosecution didn't call him to testify against Diddy, and the defense did not call this man. They could have subpoenaed him with his statement. They already knew his statements. They could have subpoenaed him, but they didn't. And I'm going to tell y'all why tonight. Everybody's been dogging Clayton Howard. I want to tell you guys something. He's been in the middle calling it down the line. I kind of believe him. From his perspective, you guys have to understand what I'm saying to y'all. From his perspective, he's saying what he saw. Doesn't mean that was the full perspective. It was from his perspective. So if he shows up to the hotel rooms, he sees Cassie all into it and all happy, whatever. He doesn't know what happens before he gets to the hotel room. He only knows what happens when he shows up to do his job and right before he leaves. That's it. So things that he can look at and he can see from a different scope because he doesn't see the entire picture. Let me give you an example. You can see a couple go to church on Sunday and they look happy and great. And every week you see them, you're like, oh, they look so good. They're happy, everything like that. They look all good. But when they go home, you don't see everything else that happens. All the ratchet, dirty, filthy shit that they have going on at home before they come back to church on Sunday. Right? So he can only testify to the picture of what he saw. So what he said about Cassie, I don't think he's lying. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't just say Cassie. He said Diddy sex trafficked him too. And I'm going to tell y'all something tonight. All those people that were celebrating out in front of that courthouse, it might have been premature. Because the judge, he sees everything. He saw all those podcasts, braggadocious. He's seen all that celebrating. And the judge saw all of the details in this case. The secrets that the world would never know. Things that were put into this case and things that were held out of this case. I told y'all this before. The judge seen it all. And so the judge has the final decision. Now, the prosecution, they spoke about the mandatory minimum of what they felt Diddy should get, which is 64 or 61, 53 to 61 months. But the maximum Diddy can get is up to 10 years for each charge. That is on the discretion of the judge. And federal court judges have full autonomy. They have a lot of leeway on how they want to pass out that time. So let me tell y'all something that nobody's thinking about. The judge could hit Diddy with a consecutive sentence, give him 10 to 12, 13 years, and Diddy, through civil lawsuits that's accusing him of sex trafficking, that has a lower burden of proof in civil court, can still have all of his assets that were involved taken away. How do I know? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know how I do. I don't just talk. I come with receipts. Yes, a civil court can seize assets if a defendant is found guilty of sex trafficking, primarily through asset forfeiture laws. These laws allow the seizure of property that it was used in or obtained from the commission of a crime This includes both criminal and civil forfeiture, with the latter, civil, not requiring a criminal conviction. The goal is to prevent traffickers from profiting from their crimes and to provide restitution or compensation to the victims. But wait, there's more. Civil forfeiture. And I want to tell you guys this. Everybody's listening to this video. Everybody's going to say, oh, but the criminal trial is over with. That the criminal trial doesn't matter. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty for the murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. But O.J. Simpson went to civil court and was found guilty and liable in civil court. Here's the difference. O.J. Simpson wasn't found guilty of sex trafficking. The sex trafficking laws apply criminal and civil as far as the assets. Forfeiture. Well, I keep mispronouncing that word. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Forfeiture. Let me just say it like that. So, as you guys see on your screen, and it's showing, right, that a separate legal action that can be pursued even without criminal conviction. It allows law enforcement to seize property believed to be involved in criminal activity, seizable assets that can be seized in human trafficking cases and sex trafficking cases as well. Same thing, human trafficking, sex trafficking, include property used to facilitate the crime, proceeds from the trafficking, and even substitute assets if the original assets are unavailable. This means that Diddy can't hide no money and not pay this dude. The government will come in and seize all of his assets if he's found liable in a civil case, which doesn't even have half of the burden as a criminal trial. Same thing with Cassie. Restitution and compensation, asset forfeiture can be used to compensate victims of trafficking for their losses and suffering. Victim rights. Victims can also initiate civil proceedings to seek damages and compensation from the traffickers. Federal agencies like the FBI and DEA utilize asset forfeiture laws to combat trafficking. Cassie's money is not protected if she's found guilty in a court of civil law. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody's bragging about, yeah, he exposed Cassie. He exposed Cassie. Ladies and gentlemen, if he exposed Cassie, and that's what this was all about, Diddy's legal team would have put his ass on the stand. But they didn't. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because not only did he expose Cassie, but read the lawsuit. He exposed Sean Diddy Combs. And if they would have put him on the stand, he might not have only proved, if they put him on the stand as a victim to testify, he might not have only proved the sex trafficking, but he might have proved the RICO. The devil's in the details. Clayton Howard versus Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. And I will take y'all to this moment right here because I want to go back through some of his claims. Read it right there, y'all. While defendant Combs appeared to serve as a quote-unquote protector rather than an oppressor, right? He said appeared to serve as a protector rather than oppressor, supporting defendant Cassie Ventura's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during the encounters. His presence was deliberately intimidating as part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. Threats of violence, that's sex trafficking by force. Threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control. This man gave the whole RICO, and they didn't even put him on the stand. And everybody's running around YouTube saying, oh, Clayton Howard exposing. He exposing. He exposed Diddy too. Threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control. And during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing Cassie to the master suite to retrieve his firearm. This is the reason why Diddy's lawyers did not put him on the stand. Because I believe, ladies and gentlemen, while everybody's on YouTube have been dogging this man out, I believe that this man has been telling the truth from what he saw. He didn't see everything because he was only there for the events that happened with the freak-offs. But he can only speak about what he saw from his perspective. Now, listen to what I'm saying to y'all now. He's showing y'all in his testimony that Diddy threatened to pistol whip him during these freak-offs when he wanted to assert his control. That falls right in line with the racketeering and the sex trafficking by force. How do you say that, Ticket? Because he says it right here in this lawsuit. Preliminary statement. Plaintiff Clayton Howard brings civil action against Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura, arising from an 8-year period of systemic sexual exploitation, trafficking, and abuse that occurred between approximately 2009 and 2019. This case exposes the darker truth behind the widely publicized narrative surrounding defendant Ventura's recent civil settlement and the ongoing criminal prosecution of defendant Combs. Now, this man also says that he was misled and that they didn't want him to testify because his testimony could be damaging to Cassie as well. I'm going to tell everybody in here that's watching this video, I believe him. I believe this man. I believe that he told his truth about Cassie, and I believe he told his truth about Diddy. Him saying that Diddy went and got that gun, told Cassie to go get that gun, and that he was going to pistol whip him at that freak off. It shows you the exploitation and sex trafficking by the use of force. Sex trafficking can be used by the use of force, fraud, or coercion. The government may have taken a big risk and discrediting Cassie, but they would have nailed Diddy had they would have put Clayton Howard on the stand. Because Clayton Howard, this is the reason why Diddy's lawyer did not call him and subpoena him to come testify. Because his testimony would have not only proved RICO, but it would have proved sex trafficking by force. Let's keep going. He also stated that during these encounters, defendant Combs watched silently in the shadows, directing the activities if he were a film director, orchestrating his vision. Once defendant Ventura was ready to begin, defendant Combs regulated her responses and controlled the rate of sexual activity, exercising complete dominance over both the plaintiff and Cassie in what couple considered a special shared experience. So he's telling y'all that Diddy controlled all of this. He told y'all that Diddy threatened to pistol whip him for non-compliance at one of these freak-offs. That proves RICO. That shows sex trafficking by force. And that could cause Diddy to get his assets seized in civil court. Everybody that was promoting this guy today on social media, saying, oh yeah, he got Cassie. He proved the case against Diddy. And when this case goes to court, not only is Cassie maybe in the loop to get assets seized from her, but Diddy is too. And Diddy has multiple allegations against him of sex trafficking. And so in each of those cases, if they are gone to court and they are proven, and I suspect he will have more civil cases, the law says that if Diddy loses in civil court, which is much easier than in federal court, where you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, right? In civil court, you just have to prove that Diddy was liable. That's it. You just have to prove that he was liable. That's all. They can still take all his assets that were involved. And whatever this man is suing him and Cassie for, if they're found guilty in court, the feds can go seize Diddy's assets because he's accused them of sex trafficking. You don't have to believe me. Believe the law. But read what he says. It's right there. He says, Defendant Combs regulated her responses and controlled the rate of sexual activity, exercising complete dominance over both the plaintiff and defendant Ventura and what the couple considered a special shared experience. The defendant Combs appeared to serve as a protector rather than an oppressor, supporting defendant Cassie Ventura's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during the encounters. His presence was deliberately intimidating as part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. Threats of violence were implied when defendant Combs wished to assert control. And during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing Cassie to the main suite to retrieve his firearm. If he would have said that in court, they would have found Diddy guilty with all of the guns that they seized, with all of the testimony about guns. If the feds would have put him on the stand and he would have stated this, they would have not only proved RICO, they would have proved sex trafficking. But the feds, neither Diddy's lawyers, put him on the stand. Neither one of them put this man on the stand. There was no testimony in court to there being a gun at the freak-offs. There was none. Think about that. That changes everything. If he testifies in court that Diddy had a gun at the freak-offs, that shows force. And if he testified in open court that Diddy threatened to pistol whip him for non-compliance when he wanted to assert his control, that shows force. And that is sex trafficking. In civil court, you don't have the burden that you do in criminal court. That is the thing about civil court. In civil court, more allegations will come out because in criminal court, the judge decides what he wants to put out. In civil court, when the people do their lawsuits, they give all the information that they want to give in the lawsuit. So when you read these lawsuits, as you look at the blueprint in the upper right-hand corner, this lawsuit has 49 pages of information. And if you read this lawsuit, man, this puts not only Diddy, but Cassie in a world of civil trouble. Defendant Cassie Ventura, he said, had a specific preference in selecting the companions and chose the plaintiff for 8 years over many other available options, he said. As subsequent criminal trial proceedings have revealed, the allegations demonstrate that defendant Cassie Ventura deceived, manipulated, and injured the plaintiff and therefore should be held accountable alongside Diddy, as the two were partners in this criminal enterprise. Now, he says that, but this wise guy doesn't understand Cassie was held responsible. Cassie never wanted this to go to criminal court. Cassie only wanted to sue Diddy. That's it. She only wanted to sue Diddy. She never wanted y'all to find out her deepest, darkest secrets in front of the world. And if you think she did, you a damn fool. The feds did to her the same thing they did to Chef Jordan. What are you talking about, Ticket? Well, here's what Ticket's talking about. The feds told Chef Jordan, who didn't want to testify, who was in fear of her life, that if she did not show up, that they would prosecute her. But there was a difference, ladies and gentlemen. The difference is that Chef Jordan had nothing to do with any criminal allegations. Cassie was in the middle of all of the criminal allegations. So Cassie had no choice but to testify or be tried alongside Diddy, because it was not Cassie Ventura who gave the case to the feds. It was Rodney Lil Rod Jones who gave the case to the feds. And that prompted everybody else to get thrown in the mix. Cassie only wanted the bag. She didn't even care if Diddy was locked up at that time. Lil Rod had his own beef, and Lil Rod admitted in his interview with DJ Academics yesterday what I had been telling y'all, that he went to the feds and met with them for 3.5 days and gave them everything on Diddy, gave them all the freak off tapes, gave them all of the layouts of Diddy's mansions. He said he gave it all to them. And he said they only used a little bit of it in the trial. A lot of it they didn't even use, he said. And this is proof that he's telling the truth. Because Clayton Howard was not used as a victim. When if the feds wanted to put Clayton Howard, they could. But Clayton Howard says that they didn't because they wanted to protect Cassie Ventura on that stand and her credibility. Now, here's the thing what everybody's saying about Cassie. Cassie did not want criminal because she knew she was in too deep. How do I know? Go back and look at Cassie's lawsuit. Cassie never told you that she had UTIs. Cassie never told you that dudes was peeing in her mouth. She never said any of those things in the lawsuit. Those devilish details came out in the trial. Those are things she had to give the feds or else suffer the consequences. Clayton Howard still does not realize that and thinks that Cassie is just some type of sympathetic figure. But no, Cassie was a co-defendant to Diddy. It's in the paperwork. She gave the feds information. She was called a confidential informant in the paperwork. Diddy complained about that. The fact that Cassie was able to give information as a confidential informant. But that's what happened when the feds flipped her. Everybody blamed Cassie, but it wasn't Cassie. It was Lil Rod. Lil Rod did it. Lil Rod brought all of this together. Right? Read number 18 on your screen. Plaintiff's ability to seek timely legal recourse was deliberately frustrated through a coordinated effort involving his former counsel, who communicated with federal prosecutors without the plaintiff's presence. The plaintiff was advised to remain silent and was manipulated into inaction, with his attorney intentionally delaying action to protect defendant Cassie Ventura's credibility. He also says, and this is the allegation that could bury Diddy's assets and Cassie's and multiple of these civil, not criminal, but civil lawsuits. Because once again, ladies and gentlemen, you can do your own research. You don't have to ask ticket. Civil court can seize Diddy's assets if he's found guilty of sex trafficking. And the burden of proof in civil court is much less than in criminal court. Do you want me to give you an example? I'll give you a perfect example how the Fed seize assets, but in different cases. There's a case with a rapper. Everybody knows the rapper from the West Coast, The Game. The Game proclaimed his innocence in a situation with a girl he had on one of his reality TV shows. She accused The Game of, I guess, violating her, right? In a horrific way, violating her in a bad way. The Game rejected that and said it was lies. She won in court. And they seized The Game's mansion. Saying that he didn't want to pay, they seized his asset. This is what can happen with Diddy and Cassie if they're found guilty of sex trafficking. Any of these other people. And you better believe a lot of these people are going to say this. And this man said, by force. And the fact that Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer made the huge mistake in a court of law, federal court of law. Everybody's praising Mark Anglifo, Brian Steele, or Brian Aluminum, whoever you want to call these guys, and all of these dudes, but they made one horrific mistake that may bite them forever and a day. They stated in open court that Diddy was violent. So now, in any case with Sean Diddy Combs, It's going to be hard to disprove when the sex worker, Clayton Howard, said that defendant Combs appeared to serve as a protector rather than an oppressor supporting defendant Ventura's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during encounters. His presence was deliberately intimidating as a part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. Threats of violence were implied. Read again. He was only there for the free calls. He said he was sex trafficked. He said threats of violence were implied when defendant Sean Combs wished to assert control. That means that Diddy was controlling all of this. He says, and during at least one encounter, he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff, directing Cassie to the master suite to retrieve his firearm. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think this guy is lying. He's too much right down the line. He's too much right down the line. Everybody's been saying, hey man, this guy's a liar. He's a liar. Doesn't seem like he's lying to me. When you lie, it's almost like you just completely favor one side. But I believe his story because I believe he told it from his side. See, let me tell y'all something. If there was a crime to happen and someone was outside the store, someone was in the store, and someone was looking out a window across the street, those three different people may have three different perspectives of how they've seen things. They may have all kind of seen sort of the same thing, but they're not all going to have the exact same story because of the perspective. So when everybody says, oh, you're lying just because of Cassie, you guys got to have deep thinking. You have to think. He only saw Diddy and Cassie in their roles in the freak-offs. So of course Cassie is going to look like she's down with the play because that's how it was supposed to be. But he didn't seem like he capped and just made it all seem like it was only just Cassie. No, he said that Diddy was on this thing too. That's what he said. I believe him. I believe the dude. I believe damn near everything he's saying in this lawsuit. See, these are some secrets that people never would have wanted to come out. I told you guys. Cassie didn't snitch on Diddy to the feds to go get him arrested. Cassie was approached by the feds and charged and told that she would be charged unless she cooperated. Same thing with Jane Doe. It was Lil Rod who gave him that. Lil Rod wanted Diddy so bad. He wanted Diddy so bad. Lil Rod went and gave him the whole play. Straight like that. To the brother who says, Ticket TV is July. It's the of July. First of all, you can't even spell. And you talking about Diddy, boy, get a life. Well, you're here listening to me talk about Diddy. So I ask you, sir, do you have a life? Okay. Now get your bitch ass out of my channel. Right? Now, let's keep going. As this thing says, you guys see it on y'all screen. Right? Read this part right here. He says in his allegations, Mr. Combs and Mrs. Ventura coerce Mr. Howard into sex trafficking. He didn't just say Cassie. He said Mr. Combs and Cassie. That's what makes him that much credible to me. And I'll tell you why he's even more credible. Because neither side wanted to call him to the stand. Because he had smoke for both sides. And when you're impartial like that, and you're gonna come and speak that impartially, I believe it. Everybody else don't want to believe it. I'm hearing them. Or they just want to look at one side where he's talking about Cassie. They ain't gonna say all the things he said about Diddy. Because he basically proved Rico when Diddy. He proved sex trafficking by force. He put a gun in the room. If the jury would have heard that Diddy had a gun in a freak off, game over. That changed everything. Him saying that Diddy threatened to pistol whip him at a freak off, that shows sex trafficking by force. No doubt that changes everything. Without a shadow of a doubt. The jury hears Diddy had a gun at the freak off. We ain't talking about nothing else. We ain't talking about nothing else. Because now what you had to do was to ask all those other sex workers, did they experience anything like that as well? Listen to what I just said to y'all. They might not even need Rico to seize Diddy's assets, y'all. They can seize his assets from civil. And civil has a much lesser burden to prove. Based off everything you heard in the trial, and Diddy's lawyers saying that they admitted that Diddy's a violent man. And it burned them in the end when they thought they were going to get bail. Because the judge told them, even your lawyer said, you are a very violent person. And I told y'all, the judge seen all the devil details that was left out of this case. All the devilish details that the general public never heard and never will hear unless it comes out in civil lawsuits or unless he gets brought up on a different case, which you probably won't hear that personal information. But the judge knows. And the judge had that in the back of his head. And that, along with all those letters he got and the urging that he's getting to put a hurting on Diddy with them years, that is the reason why he denied him bail. And if I was Diddy, I would be shitting bricks at what type of sentence the judge has cooking for him. Because the judge can flip it, stack it, and do whatever he want to do from 0 to 20. You think about that. Everybody's outside the courtroom cheering. It's celebration all over YouTube. But the part people forgot is that Diddy's a felon. He loses a lot of his rights. Diddy is and has to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. And not only that, he is facing a maximum of 20 years. 10 years on each charge. He got found guilty for 2. And the judge can stack it. And the judge can use multiple reasons to why he stacks or adds up his years. The judge can say, I'm going to give Diddy 5 years on each charge, and I'm going to stack them. You're going to do 10 years in prison. And not only that, then Diddy could get hit hard with all those lawsuits that are coming out accusing him of sex trafficking. Because in civil court, burden of proof is nowhere near criminal. You can read the paperwork and read it on your screen and look it up yourself. See, civil is a separate legal action that can be pursued without a criminal conviction. It allows the law enforcement to seize property believed to be involved in criminal activity. And if you don't have the property, or let's say it happened in hotels and stuff, they can go seize your assets. So let me give you an example. If he sues them for $25 million, Diddy and Cassie, right? For sex trafficking. That's what he's suing them for. He's suing them for sex trafficking, right? And other things too. Diddy and Cassie, right? If he wins in court, civil court, the feds can go and the authorities, the government can go seize Diddy's assets to the equal amount of what they owe him, whether it be his money, financials, any of that. First, they'll try to start with anything that was involved in those events, whether it was cars, whatever. But then if not, they'll go seize his assets and straight give him the dues. And Diddy has damn near 100 lawsuits against him. So Diddy may end up getting it raw from the civil and criminal. It's all in the judge's hands. The judge has a leeway to hit Diddy from 0 to 20 years. It's his discrepancy. Now, they have recommendations, but the government said in court the low end recommendation for them was 53 to 61 months. That they were pushing for the full 20 years. Let me repeat that again. They said that in court. My person that's in court told me they said that in court. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said to y'all. The feds want the full 20-year sentence on Sean John Combs. I'm telling y'all this. And everybody running around here acting like he won and that the judge is going to give him a slap on the wrist. The judge can say, man, I seen all this stuff that go along with this dude, man. Ain't no way in hell. Think about what I just said. Think about what I just said. Right? You got all these people talking about what they think the judge is going to do. Man, the only person who knows what the judge is going to do is the judge. Those are all the same people that told y'all that he was going to get bail that day. The judge went right in the courtroom and bail denied. Bro, that nigga said bail off the top. That girl told me everybody in the courtroom lost their damn mind when he said that. They couldn't believe it. They said the people's heart dropped in the courtroom. Right? And you don't have to believe me in what I'm saying. I will show you from reports from E! Online. Right? I will show you right now. And various other reports. I will show you exactly what she said. Matter of fact, let me put this on the screen for y'all. She pushing for the full 20 years on that nigga. Don't believe me? I'll show it. Right now. Let me put this on the screen to show y'all that the feds, they want the minimum to be 53 to 61 months. They're pushing for the full 20 years. They want the whole slab. And the judge has a right to give Diddy as many years as he wants, up to 20, from 0 to 20. The judge can do whatever he want to do. That's why I keep telling y'all. He has, if you look at the federal judges' power, federal judges have extreme amount of power within the sentencing guidelines. And there are sentencing guidelines for Diddy's sentencing. His sentencing guidelines are 0 to 20. Diddy's lawyers were arguing, oh, he can get bail. He can get bail. He's eligible. The judge says bail denied. Diddy's lawyers ain't do nothing but ask for the guy daggone date to be expedited for his sentencing. They couldn't even do that. You ain't heard about them doing nothing. eonline.com. You can go to the channel. How many years in prison does Sean Diddy Combs face, and what to know after the verdict? After Sean Diddy Combs' acquittal of sex trafficking and racketeering charges, the prosecution and the defense submitted their time recommendations for his prostitution-related convictions. Read that right there, y'all. What's next for Sean Diddy Combs? After the 12-person jury in the music mogul's federal trial acquitted him of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, he no longer faces up to life in prison. However, since he was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution relating to ex-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the name of Jane, Combs could still face significant jail time. The Bad Boys founder was convicted on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, which could carry as much as 10 years in prison per count. Prosecutor Maureen Comey initially said her team would request a maximum 20 years to be served in consecutive 10-year sentences. However, prosecutors formally requested 53 to 63 months, about 4 or 5 years of prison time, according to NBC News. Diddy's lawyers are seeking prison terms for 21 to 27 months, per NBC News. The music mogul's sentence will ultimately include the 9 months he's already served in, as well as the time he serves awaiting sentencing. Here's the thing. We're going to find out on July the 8th. On July the 8th, the feds will come with their official request of time for Diddy. I believe the feds are going to ask for the full 20 like they originally did. I believe the feds are going for the full 20 like they originally stated in court. That's what I believe. I believe they're going to ask for the full 20 years and think that they're probably going to get some in between. That's what I think the feds are going to do. Diddy's lawyers are going to ask for the low end, and they're going to say, oh, he's on one time, this, that, and the third. But here's the thing. It's all on the judge. It's literally, how did the judge feel about Diddy and all the things the judge seen that was left out of that case. The judge saw everything, y'all. All the things that wasn't even admitted to go into trial. The judge saw it all. He knows. He knows a lot. That's why the judge let something slip. When Diddy's lawyers were arguing with the judge, when the judge denied bail, he instantly denied bail. And when he did that, Diddy's lawyers were arguing. Peep what the judge said. He said, Diddy checked into the batterers program, and I didn't even allow that to be entered into the case. I said, what? The judge straight cooked Diddy's lawyers. Was like, your client was entered into the batterers program, and that didn't even come out in the trial. I said, whoa. He literally said that in front of everybody. I was like, damn. Because the judge know all the stuff. Because y'all got to understand, only certain things can make it in the final court case. So what happens is the feds will come with a whole lot of information, and then only parts and portions of that will be allowed in the case. The judge knows if he would have let everything that they had in that case, man, ain't no way Diddy we got off. But I think the judge, this is what I personally think. I think the judge think that the jury let him down, and that it probably was some of his fault for not letting more of that stuff in. The judge was trying to be fair. And here's the thing. The only thing Diddy's lawyers can really do after the judge is sentenced is go cry to Donald Trump, get on their knees to the man that Diddy said needs to be removed from out of here. Picture that. Picture you going to cry and ask the dude to bail you out that you despise. Picture all these dudes on YouTube that despise Donald Trump having to beg him to get Diddy out. That's a lovely day. Think about what I just said. And everybody keeps talking about, oh, well, he going to give Trump money. No, he not. That's a one-way ticket to impeachment for Donald Trump. That's the first thing they're going to be looking at. Trump don't want that type of investigation and smoking him. Because presidential pardons cannot be given as favors or financial favors. Those are grounds for impeachment. Read the law. So, the bad thing is that Diddy has a few lawsuits against him accusing him of sex trafficking. If those people win, the feds just come seize his assets anyways. That's not me. That's the law. You need to look it up. They don't even need criminal. They can go after him on civil. Seizable assets. Assets that can be seized in human trafficking cases include property used to facilitate the crime, proceeds from the trafficking, and even substitute assets if the original assets are unavailable. Restitution and compensation, asset forfeiture can be used to compensate victims of trafficking for their losses and suffering. So meaning if he sued Diddy for 20 million, wins, and Diddy don't pay that 20 million, they go seize Diddy's assets to whatever equivalates to the 20 million. Money or whatever equivalates to that 20 million. When it comes to sex trafficking, they can go seize it. Ain't nothing Diddy can do about it, and ain't nothing the president of the United States can do about it. That's civil court. And they have special sex trafficking rules. Read right there. Victims' rights. Victims can also initiate civil proceedings to seek damages and compensation from the traffickers. Federal agencies. Federal agencies like the FBI and the DEA utilize asset forfeiture laws to combat trafficking. It's right there in the paperwork. You ain't gotta believe me. Believe the paperwork, Playboy. That's all I want y'all to do. Believe the paperwork. Don't believe me. Believe that paperwork, though. It's right there. Cassie can't hide money. If Cassie gets found guilty, they're going to take her chips too. They're going to take her chips too. I'm going to say it again to y'all. They're going to take her chips too. If Cassie gets found guilty, she going to get her C's too. This is what happens when you get in these situations. I'm telling y'all this now. Y'all got to peep this now. Now, I told y'all after this weekend, it's going to get to cracking next week. Everybody took this weekend off because it's the 4th of July. Didn't nobody want to do nothing. Starting next week, watch what happens, y'all. They're going to ramp this thing right back up. Crazy work, bro. Crazy work, bro. You know what I mean? So this is the reason why they didn't bring this dude. They wasn't bringing him nowhere near this case on either side. Because if Diddy's lawyers thought he was usable, they'd have put his ass on the stand. You know why they didn't put him on the stand? Because they knew. Diddy's lawyers ain't no idiots. They knew it was up. His lawyers knew good and well. I ain't putting him on the stand. His lawyers knew. I'm not putting him on. The man who has just hold on. I'm not putting him on no stand. Because if he had that much stuff to say about Cassie and it was no backlash, no nothing, they'd have put him on the stand instantly. They didn't put him on the stand because of what he said about Diddy. And he would have proved Rico. Even though he would have crushed Cassie, testimony, he would have proved Rico against Diddy. And he would have proved sex trafficking by force. Because he said that Diddy threatened to pistol whip him at the freak off and told Cassie to go get the blicky. He also went to social media today going in saying this too.
So good morning. I am Dave, man who has just sued Cassandra Ventura for damages involved in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. And I'm looking through social media and I see a lot of the women out there, particularly black women like myself, who choose to victim shame me and try to do everything they can to discredit me, because the truth is that the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss to the Me Too movement and to hating women like the women who are trying to insult me. So let me tell you something, you women out there who would like to insult me. This is my story. I was paid by Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, for 8 years to be her male provider. I didn't have to be the best looking guy.
Now, here's the thing. Let me start right there. He said he was paid by Cassie. Here's the problem. Where did the money come from? Cassie ain't had no bread. Who was giving Cassie the money? Cassie ass was broke. She ain't had no money. Cassie didn't even have $20,000 to pay Diddy. Her mom and dad had to take out a freaking loan. So everybody's saying, oh, well, Clayton lying. He ain't lying. He's just telling y'all the story from his perspective. You got to use y'all brains. Oh, he lying. He ugly. He lying. What's wrong with y'all? Use your mind. It's called deep thinking. He's telling you the truth from his perspective. If he saw Cassie give him the money, if Cassie was calling him, how the hell can he say something different? He might not have seen Diddy telling Cassie, yo, go call that dude. Yeah, you gonna go call these dudes. Y'all, you gonna set this up? I'm gonna give you the money. You set this up. Boom, boom, boom. You deal with that. That means Diddy put the buffer in between himself. So it wasn't him doing directly negotiations with these guys. He sent Cassie. Do you think anything Cassie had was hers? No. All the clothes, Diddy paid for it. The cars, Diddy paid for it. All that shit, Diddy paid for it. The workers, who you think gave you the money for those workers? Cassie didn't have money. Think about that. But everybody calling Clayton a liar. I ain't calling dude a liar because he only telling you from how he saw it. If he only saw a certain portion, he can only tell you from his perspective. This is why you have to be smart and have discernment when you're listening to people. Straight up. Right? To him, Diddy and Cassie situation may have looked like a domestic violence situation from his perspective. He might not have known everything else that was going on the outside. He might not have known that. You guys got to understand that. He's only with them for a certain period of time. Right? Think about that. So they're attacking him, and that's why he's going off, because he's like, yo, y'all attacking me. Y'all wasn't there. I was there.
I was the best in bed. And because I was the best in bed, guess what? I was given this arrangement. I was coerced. I was drugged. I was manipulated with promises of money and gifts for over a period of 8 years to continue to be this woman's provider at her expense and at the expense of Diddy. Now, at the time, legally, I didn't know my rights as well as I do now. I didn't create this conflict with Cassandra Ventura. She created it with me. She's the one who decided to bring up things that happened over 10 to 15 years ago to hold Sean Combs accountable for what was a partial truth. She's the person who introduced me to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She's the person who told the U.S. Attorney's Office about our relationship. So in essence, those out there who want to hate on me, who want to say that I'm attacking Cassie, you should realize the truth. That Cassandra Ventura, your idol, did this to herself. She exposed herself to liability when she got on the stand and decided to mention me as the male escort who was with her when she overdosed and Diddy made her have sex with him. That was a lie, people. Cassie had just woke up from sleeping 8 hours. Myself and Sean Combs were exhausted. We wanted to go home. Cassie's the one who forced that sexual encounter. People, she tells you that Sean Combs made her have sex on her menstrual cycle. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But I know the one time that did happen, that Sean Combs was not responsible for that. That Cassie, in a drunken, intoxicated, hormonally imbalanced state due to her period, manipulated and forced herself on me during her menstrual cycle. And what I mean by that is I had no knowledge she was on her menstrual cycle because the room was completely dark. She manipulated the room. She manipulated the environment to get what she wanted, and then she totally got up like I was the one who should have been grateful. You're on your period. That's disgusting, and I deserved more respect than that. As a man, if I had laid down with a woman and myself on her and orgasm in her and she got up and it was leaking out of her, guess what? I would have raped her. So by statute, by case law definition, Cassandra Ventura sexually assaulted me. I'm not looking to destroy Cassie. I've given Cassie more than a year to settle this before things got out of control. The problem is she's being supported by women like you who choose to attack male victims instead of accept the truth, which is that a woman could have lied to get revenge on the ex-boyfriend who broke her heart and hurt her. It happens, people. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and that's true. If you hurt some women, they will do everything in their power. If you hurt some men, they'll do everything in their power to hurt you. But I want to end this by saying this. Cassie did this to herself. They say he who sets out on the course of revenge should dig 2 graves. People, Cassie dug the grave that is Clayton Howard herself. Cassie got on the stand trying to destroy Diddy. She should have took her $20-30 million and walked into the sunset, people. She should have.
Now, see, that's the thing. That's the part where I don't think he understands. And you cannot blame him for not understanding because he didn't know about him. He thinking that Cassie is the one that went and lined it all up. Nope. It was Lil Rodney Jones. He was the one who went to the feds. He was the one that had that fresh wire up on Diddy. He was the one that gave him the layout. He was the one that told him where the drugs was at. He was the one that told him about Diddy's fanny packs. He was the one that told him where the guns was at. He was the one that gave him the entire layout of Diddy's crib when they went to do that raid and told him 1,000% that you're going to find this, this, and this. He was the one that gave him every copy of those freak-offs that he had that the world has never seen. They thought it was Cassie. It wasn't. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you once again, do you think that Cassie Ventura wanted to tell the world everything she told them on the stand? No. Cassie would have taken that $20 million and the $10 million she got from the Intercontinental and walked away into the sunset without anybody knowing all of her dark little secrets. But it was Lil Rod who wanted that smoke with Diddy and felt like it was time to put everything into perspective. So when Lil Rod went to the feds and gave the feds everything, remember, Lil Rod wasn't in this case, but he showed up on day 1 of the trial. to the courthouse because he was the one who set up the entire federal investigation into Sean John Combs. Cassie got approached and took immunity and became an informant, which means that Cassie admitted that she committed crimes to the feds alongside Diddy, the same as Jane Doe, in exchange for immunity. So when Clayton Howard says what he says, I think he's missing that part of it. Everybody thought it was Cassie that went and got the money. That's why everybody's like, oh, you already got the money. Why are we here? It wasn't that. It was Rodney Jones. And he admitted it in the DJ Academics interview last night. He told exactly how he gave up the entire Sean Combs play and federal indictment to the feds. And he also revealed in that interview with DJ Academics that went viral, he also revealed one other thing that I told y'all yesterday. He revealed, ladies and gentlemen, that the feds are coming with more charges against Sean John Combs. Let me repeat that again. He says feds are coming with more charges against Sean John Combs. How do I know? I'll tell you how I know. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you how I know. Via DJ Academics interview.
I carry the most weight because they didn't bring you in. I read your lawsuit and you actually say, Sean Combs and KK had me send Ubers to transport sex workers to come to Two-Star Island. That would kind of fit under sex trafficking. Like, you could have been a valuable witness. Why not bring you up there? Because KK's not going to be there. Why not bring you there to say, hey, I would send the Ubers, they would pay me back. I would send the Ubers to get the sex workers or the people who were, quote unquote, being sex trafficked.
I really don't know, and I really wouldn't count them out yet. They did say that they was going to bring some other charges, etc.
More charges?
Yeah. So I really don't know, and for me, I would rather let them do their job, you know what I'm saying, and trust that they're going to bring some results. Look.
Act was like, more charges? He said, yeah. Then he caught himself. He said, oh, no, I really don't know. He slipped. He told you the feds said they were going to bring other charges. And also, he said he's going to be out here doing more interviews. Oh, yeah.
You were here, but now you're here and all this is surrounding you. You may capture that moment just so you don't forget this, because you may end up here too and forget that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So you were just memorializing it. You were just documenting.
I'm not saying I am. I'm just telling you, if it was you, you have to put yourself in somebody's shoes, bro. In that situation, anything that's mentioned in a lawsuit is what they call an admission of guilt.
Okay.
And so when I sat down and with the feds to talk about that,
let's set the stage. How did the feds contact you? Did they show up to your door? Did they tell your lawyer? How did that initial thing happen? And through your publicist, I heard you met with them 5 times. Detail this entire process for me.
Yeah. So they reach out to the attorney. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, we set up a time and a place. And that date, the time and the place was, for example, was supposed to be maybe a Tuesday for 4 hours. And that went on from a full day Tuesday, a full day Wednesday, a full day Thursday, and a full day Friday. You know what I'm saying? And it was just because it was so much that they had to go through.
Were you clear with what they were trying to get? Like, because, you know, we've now known that they were trying to at least proceed with an investigation, but what they used you for was the substance of a affidavit and an application for a search warrant, which did get granted, which they, in fact, did do a raid and a search on Two Star Island. Did you know that that's what they were trying to do? Were they asking you a certain question like, bro, where the fuck is the baby oil, though? And I'm saying, well, what question? Like, yo, bro, fuck what you talking about. We don't want to know where the piano's at. Where the Astro Glide at, gang? What were they asking you, bro? We got to figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. It's illegal. But let me take a different approach.
Come on, man. You gotta give it up, bro, man. You a big act, man. Come on, man. Pause. You gotta. Come on, man. What the fuck were they asking you, man? You gotta double down. You told me you're gonna double down. Don't start backtracking now. We not talking about the case. We talking about the fair shit now.
They pretty much asked me about everything within the scope of the lawsuit, but while I'm in agreement, I had to just give them everything else, especially if my hand was in some things unknowingly that I could be incriminated. Like, bro, you got one chance now to tell everything.
Did they give you any immunity?
Yeah, I had immunity for whatever
you told in that session. It was a proper
admission of guilt. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Admission of guilt was like, bang, bang, bang. Look, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened.
So you either possessing drugs or whatever. Like you're cleared for that as long as you admit that. Hey, I was doing it for him, and you told them, and you were truthful then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you tell them where the baby oil was, bro? Be honest.
Listen, I told them everything.
So you knew where the baby oil was stored.
Bro, baby oil is just a small piece of everything else that never seen a dead light in court.
So tell me what you told them. You told me the guns is that.
Was it there?
It was. They got it. So did you tell them?
Did I tell them about the drug mule?
Which of you guys has the highest?
See, he's telling y'all about everything that happened. He said the baby oil was only up. Man, that was nothing from everything that was found. They didn't even use that stuff in the trial. So what did they do with all that stuff? That's a question everybody need to be asking. What did they do with all that stuff?
What guns is that?
Was it there?
It was. They got it. So did you tell them?
Did I tell them about the drug mule? I told them about the fanny pack.
Okay, but did you tell them location? Because again, I have seen all the exhibits. They found.
I took a piece of paper.
Yes, you drew it.
I drew out every outline of the house where everything you could think of is.
You did like Picasso, man. This nigga's on some shit, man. This nigga said, yo, hold on. Right here, you go up in here, that's Justin's room. He ain't got shit going on in there. He just watching LeBron all day. You go in the other room, that's where the baby hole's at.
Let me ask you something, bro. Yeah. Put yourself in Diddy's shoes.
Yeah.
What would he be doing? If he was me in that room with them, what would he be doing?
He'd be telling the truth. He'd be telling the truth.
Right. So understand, bro, like, my fight with him was already unbalanced. You know what I'm saying? It was already unbalanced. Listen, be clear, bro. Like, I grew up in the church, but I also grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, he said he gave up the whole thing. I told y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all feel, man. You know what y'all think? I got a crazy feeling about this one, y'all. He's suing for sex trafficking, y'all, and more. Cassie and Diddy. And, man, he's suing Combs Enterprises. I mean, he's going in. So if he wins these lawsuits, the feds can come seize it through the civil. That's the part people forgot about. And the civil, imagine if the judge come back, hit Diddy with like a 10 to 12 year prison sentence, and this nigga get hit with all those lawsuits and lose a lot of those civil lawsuits, and they go seize his assets. to pay those lawsuits. Man, that's crazy work. Because again, sex trafficking is a special law in civil lawsuits. If you get found guilty and they sue you for sex trafficking, and you get found guilty in civil court, seize your assets, forfeiture, just like that. So what he ducked in the Fed case, in the civil case, it's a lesser burden to prove that. Like, share, subscribe, everybody. Love y'all. Good night. Good morning. Good afternoon.
All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this video. Make sure that you guys shop our merch. We got that new A-Weapons merchandise right there below this video. All you got to do is look below. The links will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well to get the merch, to donate, support the channel, and subscribe to our podcast show. You'll see all those links pinned at the top of the comment section of this video. And we appreciate everybody that supports this channel and our networks. Also, that straight drop weight loss formula. Go to the website. You guys will see that. A link for that will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well. Go right there for all of your weight loss needs. Straight drop weight loss formula. We have a lot of testimonials on the website. You can go to www.str-8-drop.com and get you some of the weight loss formula today. Take your weight loss serious. Get in the gym, work out, exercise, and do what you got to do to stay on point. We appreciate everybody that's been locked into this video. Again, all the links are pinned at the top of the comment section below. Salute to all of y'all. And again, we appreciate everybody who support what we doing over here.